When did you realize someone in your life wasn't the person you thought they were, either in a good or bad way? 1. There's a guy in his 50s at work who's very much the class clown. Very good for morale, but he can come across as a little childish at times. One of the first shifts back after my dad passed away, he sat down with me for our whole lunch break and very respectfully asked questions about who my dad was as a person and the life that he had, as well as speaking about his own struggles when his mom passed. For weeks afterwards, he'd sneak a little shoulder pat or say some words of encouragement to help me while I was struggling. I realized he acts how he does normally because he genuinely cares about the people around him and he wants to lift their spirits when he can. Me and some of the younger lads go fishing with him now, and he barely fishes. He'd much rather pass on any knowledge he has to the inexperienced guys, talk absolute nonsense, and cook up a big feast to make sure we are all well fed. 2. He was the hardest partying dude I knew. We'd known each other for years and been flirty for most of that. We'd make out when drunk, then go and pursue other people. I heard that he wanted more, but life got in the way for years, mostly in the form of a newfound partner who entered my life. At the time I was relieved, as I didn't want anything more from him. Frankly, I never really took him seriously. Then I got dumped, out of nowhere. He popped up and made sure I was okay. He listened to me rant and paint the air blue cussing out my now ex, whenever I needed it, for weeks. He was so caring and concerned, it shocked me. A few months passed, and I got back on my feet. He approached me at a party and asked me out. No flirting, he just properly asked me out. I still didn't want more from him, but I said yes because saying no would have crushed him. I figured the date would be a crash landing, a realization that the woman he'd been chasing, on and off, for 5 years was just basic. We went on that date, and for the first time ever we actually talked properly, without alcohol impeding us and without trying to keep it light or be fun, I mean, beyond wanting to be fun in the context of our dinner date. That's when I found out about his past. I will spare you the gory details, but he survived a car crash that killed half his family when he was a child. It left him with mild brain damage that made him a bit dotty, and made his dyslexia worse. He was told every day of his childhood that he was too stupid to amount to anything. A fact he bookended by mentioning that for 20 years he worked dead-end jobs, ate like a pauper, drank nothing but bottom-shelf swill, and dressed almost in rags, also he could save up to go to college. His first semester was due to start in a few weeks, but he was too embarrassed to talk about going to college at nearly 40. By the end of our date I saw him in a different light. I saw a man who had turned the dismissiveness that an ignorant world, including me, had heaped on him into something beautiful. He refused to become bitter or hateful. I don't understand how or why, it's a miracle all on its own. I saw a man who wasn't stupid, but a man who had been let down by the education system and hadn't been able to enjoy the same benefits from academia that billions of people take for granted. By the end of our second date, which I acquiesced to the instant he proposed it, I knew I had found a good person. Again, he surprised me, this time with his creative mind. We invented identities for and role-played as aliens from the planet Gliese 6, just a goof that we took as far as we could, and he kept up with me at every beat, something I wouldn't have thought him capable of in a million years just a month prior. I already knew he was a nerd of similar caliber to me, but we spent that night swapping in-depth likes and dislikes, and, to my delight, he ticked every box for me, and vice versa. By the end of the third date, I realized he was the calmest, most considerate, most thoughtful person I'd ever met. I'd spent most of the preceding 2 decades looking after people, from partners to terminally ill family members, and for the first time in as long as I could remember, he made me feel safe and looked after. By the end of the fourth date, I had fallen in love with him, like a moon-eyed teenager. If someone could bottle the feeling I had when I fell asleep on his chest, his fingers in my hair, they'd make trillions. He made me feel invincible. We said those 3 little words on our 6th date. I said it first, I couldn't help myself. 2 months earlier, he was just the slightly weird guy who was at every party to me. At the time of writing, we've been together for a year, he's on track for a GPA of 3.7, and I have never known love like it. I literally have no complaints. I am proud of him, I am proud to be with him, and I am excited to take on the future with him by my side. For his part, he loves me just as much as I love him and seems to be in genuine awe of me as a person. I have no idea why, but I'm not questioning it. 3. When I told my former best friend of 13 plus years that I was worried cancer had returned, she told me it was too much stress for her. 4. When I realized the person I was in a relationship with was actually the potential version of him and not who he really was. That was my fault. He showed me who he was through his actions many times, but I wanted to believe his words more, so I let myself stay involved. Finally, I fully internalized the reality of the situation and left. He wasn't a bad person, just not who I thought he was. 5. When I realized my father wasn't mean, he's just incompetent. It's not that he didn't love me or appreciate me, it's just that he genuinely has no idea how to love anyone. It's followed him in all of his subsequent relationships with people, and his friends are merely acquaintances that he gets laughs from occasionally, not particularly meaningful because he just isn't that guy. I can now see him as a whole person in my 30s, and while he's just as useless as a grandparent, it really helped heal my inner child to know it wasn't just me. 6. When he talked about his friendship scorecard in Excel. Anyone under 80 points gets ejected from his friend list. Of course, I wasn't on the list. Sure. 7. My bully ended up being my maid of honor. It's about 15 years of elapsed time that led from one to the other, but one day in high school she sat down next to me, needing to get something out of her system, and told me about her life. I'll chat with any person, particularly if that person intrigues me, which she did. What she told me was really crap and made me view her in an entirely different light. It was a lesson in the judgments I made in my early teens on the basis of rumors and peer pressure. She became my friend, my parents became like surrogate parents to her, and over time she became a sister to me. I adore her. 8. I'll never forget those moments in which my parents opened up to me about their difficulties in their younger years. Made me really see why they act the ways they do and feel much more empathic toward them. I truly believe every parent should open up to their children about how they feel, at least when the children are at a good age to understand it.